Hi everyone and welcome to another new tutorial. So, I'm sure out there on YouTube or other places, there are lots and lots of holly and winterberry tutorials. So what I thought was, let's do something a little bit different. Let's do some winter holly with a twist. We're going to be using textured techniques and all important negative painting to pull it all together. It's a great tutorial, not just for beginners, but for advanced as well. It's just a lot of fun. And of course, you're going to create a beautiful, unique piece of artwork at the end of it. So what is not to love? If you're enjoying these tutorials, please do subscribe. That means an awful lot to me. I'm not here all the time because I have my Patreon channel and that keeps me super busy. So once a month, twice here if you're lucky. But if you want to take your art to the next level, then yeah, jump onto my Patreon channel. There's over 200 watercolour tutorials on there. What is not to love? Go grab your brushes and let's paint. As always, let me go through the materials I'm going to be using for this tutorial. I've got a piece of Fabriano and I've cut it to this just a nice size for this composition. I've got some cling film or cling wrap, whatever you want to call it. If you don't have that, you could use tissue paper as well, or you can just use granulation fluid, whatever you like. But for this tutorial, I want to create some lovely textures, and that is exactly what we're going to do with this lovely cling film. And scrunch it all up and push it into those lovely wet washes. I've got a big jug of clean water. Just off camera there, I've always got this to hand. It's my bleed-proof Dr. Martens white, and I use it an awful lot just for adding those little highlights, but hopefully we might not need it. I've got a size 8 brush and 3 colours, 3 primary colours. You can of course change these colours. I've got an Indian yellow, I've got a scarlet red, and I've got the phthalo blue. So of course 3 primaries, you can change any one of those, any red, any yellow, any blue you like, completely up to you. So let's get started, and we could just kind of throw all those watercolour washes onto this paper now, but for this tutorial we need to be a little bit more careful really. So I'm going to start with the berries, and I'm just going to take that lovely juicy red. I'm going to start to pop it into those shapes, and notice I'm not painting each berry, I'm just painting in those shapes. But what I'm doing is I'm leaving a lovely little highlight there, look. A bit more water on my brush. You see, just leaving that little highlight. And hopefully we'll get some nice textures from that as well. Now, I don't mind if the leaves get a bit kind of red as well as green, but I certainly don't want the berries to be green. So I'm going to turn my paper this way and let gravity should I say, do the work for us really, because this red now is going to run into that. And you know what? I'm actually going to encourage that. Let it do that. I'm going to give it a little spray just to wet my paper. Of course, you can do that with your brush. Let's take some of that lovely juicy yellow and let's start to put that in. And again, I'm not painting separate leaves here. I'm just covering that whole area. Let's let some of that red run in as well. And you know what? I'll even add a little bit of red as well. Why not? Why not? Let's take some of the phthalo. Now, if you're using the phthalo, it's a mighty strong colour. So I'm just going to tap it in a couple of little places there, look. I don't want it to be too strong at this stage. And also, I'm very much aware that I don't want to rub the colours too much together as well, because what happens is I'm going to create a muddy mess, and that's exactly what I do not want, is a muddy mess. So keep cleaning my brush, just adding those colours, a little bit more yellow I think on this side, and I think that's enough. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my cling wrap, I'm going to give it a bit of a scrunch and screw it up a little bit. So the more I scrunch it, the more texture I'm going to get, and I'm going to place it onto my paper, and I'm going to give it a good push down there, look. Look at that already. Can you see? I'll hold it up to camera. that's what we're going to be left with. Now, we need to be patient, and that's something I am definitely not. But we do need to let that dry thoroughly. If you put the hairdryer on it, it's just going to blow the plastic cling film away. So just let it dry naturally, or pop it onto a radiator, or, you know, somewhere nice and warm. And in about, say, 20 minutes, that should be ready to come off. So be patient and let's let this completely dry. So as you can see, mine is nice and dry now, and we can start to build up some values and some more colour. So I'm going to start with the berries again here, and I'm going to take that juicy red and I'm going to make it slightly darker this time. And I'm going to make sure that I put the darks underneath the bottom half here, like that. Maybe just a little bit here. Now I'll clean my brush. Now I know that seems wasteful, but it really isn't, because I need to soften that wash a little bit, and I don't want it to be too strong all the way. So I can just lift a little bit away there, look, and just keep that bottom half nice and juicy. Let's do the same with the other one. There's another one here, look. So I'm going to make sure that juicy red comes all the way up like that. Cleaning my brush. And just softening that down a little bit. And we'll do the same with this one. By the way, if you've lost your pencil line a little bit, you know, you may have done that. You may have lost the line that you put on initially before you put these washes down. Then just go back over it again. There we go. Excuse me. So they're now nice and juicy, and we can concentrate on the leaf shapes. And we want to make sure that this leaf is behind this one as well. So that's quite important, isn't it? So let's take a bit of the blue, and we'll have a bit of the yellow to that as well. Make a nice dark green. And I can paint around a shape. So I can turn my picture this way, and I can see the pencil line here. So I'm going to put in that lovely green mixture here, right up to the shape of the berry. And I also know that there's a lovely little kind of linear mark going up the middle like that. So if I put my green in on either side of that line and just push that away slightly. So I'm still retaining that texture. That's very important. I don't want to lose that texture. But can you see now I've got a lovely line? Again, I'll hold it up to camera so you can just see that lovely line in the middle. And I'm going to do the same with this next one. I could put a lovely dark green behind these berries. Don't want it to run, so let's just let gravity help us out a little bit here. I'm going to put a bit of water on that as well and let that run a little bit. There we go. And again, I want to find that middle line. So I'll put a line here. I'll put a line here. I'll clean my brush and I'll just soften it down. And that way. Bit of a puddle there, so I'll just lift some away a little bit. And again, at this point, it doesn't look very interesting, does it? Because we've only put in those lighter values. So let's concentrate now on putting some really strong values in. So let's take that pure blue. Why? Because we can. It doesn't matter what colour you want to use. But I really do want to show off the spiky little edges of those leaves. So I'm painting around the shape, and I'm painting around that shape. I can clean my brush a little bit and just soften that down, letting it kind of melt into those other washes. So now we've created two sides, haven't we? We've created the side of this leaf, and we've created the side of this leaf. Ooh, I'll go back to what I said before about using any colour. Let's just take a bit of red. Why not? Let's do the same thing here. So we're painting around a shape, but this time I'm using a red. And again, why? Because I can. A bit more yellow into that, I think. Just soften it away. Blending. Lots of clean water on my brush. Making sure those washes are staying nice and fresh. And can you see now? that's coming together with very little effort, really. We are negatively painting, that's the whole point. Bringing it to life by putting in these lovely negative washes. Bit of blue there, look. I might have a little bit of red as though it's escaping from those berries as well. Just a little bit. There we go. And it's looking really juicy. Now, I do want to do a little bit more, but it is very, very wet. I can work in areas where I think I might get away with it. Like this side here is quite dry, so I might get away with that. I'll put a little bit of the blue in there as well, look. And again, I can come in with any colour. I could drop some more red into that. It's my picture, and I can do what I like. If I feel I've been a bit heavy-handed, by the way, which I think I have a little bit, I'll just get a little bit of kitchen roll and just dab some areas away, look. In fact, that creates a little bit more texture as well, which is nice. But I think it's time for me to put my brush down. Now, those of you who follow me on my Patreon channel and here on the YouTube channel, you'll know that I love to do this. And I just like to give my washes just a little bit of a spritz, just to help the paint to blend and to give you these subtle little textures, as well as the texture underneath. It's going to look great when it's finished, but yes, I need to let this one completely dry. So once you're at this stage, you can add as many details as you like now. I'd like to anchor my berries and my leaf down and give a little bit of shadow underneath. So I'm going to use the same blue, obviously. We're just using those three colours. And let's put a nice shadow here, just giving that berry a little bit more shape. And then what I'd like to do is just a little bit more of a darker value. Cleaning my brush, always cleaning my brush, because I just want to soften that away. Pull that out a bit. That looks better already, doesn't it? It's just got that lovely dark value just helping along those shapes. I'm going to put a tiny little bit in that corner maybe, and a little tiny bit there just to kind of give them a bit more separation. And at this point, of course, I'm just going to add a bit more water here, just pull that out a bit. You can go for any darks you like. I mean, you can even add more colour. So for instance, if I wanted to come in and make an area a little bit more colourful, maybe I could add some more yellows into that wash. That brightens it up a little bit, doesn't it? And it's gone a bit dull here, hasn't it? So maybe I could just tap in some nice yellows. And of course, you can always come back in and do a bit of this, a bit of tidying up with the darker value around some of those shapes. Just going to take that off. Let that blend a little bit as well. It's always interesting looking at your work when it's upside down. You see little bits that you could think, oh, I'll just have a little bit more detail there. And this is the problem, isn't it? You know, when we say, I just want to put more details and more details, sometimes it's nice to just stop at a certain stage and just, you know, it's rather beautiful in its own right, isn't it? What about a little tiny dot on those berries there, look. I'll not put one on that top one, just on that one. And do you know what? I'm going to put my brush down. I'm tempted to come in here. I'm tempted. I'm going to do it. Just a little bit more dark there, look. We all need someone to say, put your brush down. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's something a little bit different, isn't it, than your usual kind of winter berries. I hope you have a lovely Christmas. Thank you for watching so much, and I'll see you next time. Take care.